The message arrived on a Tuesday morning. It came through every communication channel on Earth at the same time. Every phone, every television, every computer screen showed the same image. A tall creature with gray skin and 4 arms stood in front of a massive throne. Behind it, thousands of ships filled the darkness of space. Admiral Hana was drinking her morning coffee when her screen flickered. She set down her cup and watched the alien speak. Its voice was deep and cold, translated into perfect Korean through some unknown technology. "People of Earth," the creature said, "I am High Lord Vectis of the Velrath Sovereignty. We rule 12 star systems. We have conquered 47 worlds. Today, we claim yours." Hana did not move. She had spent 30 years in the military. She had seen many things that would make other people afraid. But she had never seen anything like this. "You have 7 of your planet's rotations to surrender," Vectis continued. "Give us your world, your resources, and your people. Serve us, and you will live. Resist, and we will turn your planet into dust. We have watched your species for many years. We know you are weak. We know you have no ships that can fight us. We know you cannot win." The message ended. The screens returned to normal. But nothing was normal anymore. Hana picked up her secure phone and made one call. "Wake everyone up," she said. "We have work to do." 3 hours later, Hana stood in a room deep underground. The room had no windows. It had thick walls made of concrete and steel. Only 12 people in the entire world knew this place existed. Around the table sat the leaders of humanity's Secret Defense Council. There was General Park from the Army, Admiral Yun from the Navy, and Director Baum from Intelligence. There were scientists, engineers, and strategists. They all looked tired and worried. 7 days, General Park said. He was an old man with white hair and sharp eyes. 7 days to save our entire species. We have been preparing for this moment for 60 years, Hana replied. She stood at the head of the table, her back straight, and her voice calm. Ever since we found that crashed ship in the Pacific Ocean. Ever since we learned we were not alone. Everyone in the room knew the story. In 1987, a small alien vessel had fallen from the sky and landed in the ocean. The governments of the world had recovered it in secret. They had studied it. They had learned from it. And they had prepared. "The Velrath think we are weak," Director Baum said. She was a young woman with short black hair and glasses. "They think we have nothing to fight with." "That is exactly what we wanted them to think," Hana said. She pressed a button on the table, and a holographic display appeared in the air. It showed the solar system, but it was not the solar system that most people knew. Hidden among the asteroids, tucked behind moons, and buried inside empty planets were hundreds of red dots. "Project Ember," Hana said. 347 warships, built in secret over the past 40 years, hidden where no one would think to look. The room was silent. Even the people who knew about Project Ember had never seen the full picture before. "The Velrath have been watching us," Hana continued. "They have seen our commercial ships. They have seen our space stations. They think that is all we have. They do not know about these." Commander Taehyun stepped forward. He was a tall man with broad shoulders and a serious face. He had been in charge of Project Ember for the past 15 years. He had lived in secret bases on asteroids and moons, building humanity's hidden fleet. "Each ship is equipped with weapons based on the technology we recovered from the crashed vessel," Taehyun explained. "Plasma cannons, energy shields, and engines that can move faster than anything the Velrath have seen from us. Our ships are smaller than theirs, but they are fast and deadly." "What about their numbers?" Admiral Yun asked. The message showed thousands of ships. "Our intelligence says they have brought approximately 2,000 vessels to our solar system," Director Baum answered. "They are currently positioned near Jupiter, waiting for our surrender." 2,000 against 300, General Park said quietly. "Those are not good numbers." "Numbers are not everything," Hana said. "The Velrath expect no resistance. They expect us to bow down and accept their rule. They have conquered many worlds, And every world has surrendered without a fight. They do not know what it means to face an enemy that will not give up. She looked around the table at each person. These were the people who would decide the fate of humanity. These were the people who had worked in secret for decades, preparing for a day they hoped would never come. "We will not surrender," Hana said. "We will not serve. We will show the Velroth what happens when they threaten the wrong species." Taehyun nodded. "The fleet is ready. The crews have been training for years. They know their ships, and they know their mission. All they need is the order." "What about the people?" Director Baum asked. 8 billion humans are watching the sky right now, waiting to see what happens. They are scared. They do not know about Project Ember. They think we are helpless." Hana was quiet for a moment. This was the hardest part. The secret had been kept for so long. Telling the world would change everything. "We will tell them," she finally said. "Not everything, not yet. But we will tell them that they do not need to be afraid. We will tell them that humanity has teeth, and we are not afraid to bite." Over the next 2 days, the world watched as Earth's leaders made their response. They did not surrender. They did not beg. Instead, they sent a simple message back to the Velroth: "We decline your offer. If you want our world, you will have to take it." Trop. 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 High Lord Vectis received the message on his throne ship. His forearms gripped the armrests as he read the words. For a moment, he felt something he had not felt in a very long time. It took him a moment to recognize it. It was surprise. No species had ever refused the Velroth. No world had ever chosen destruction over submission. These humans were either very brave or very stupid. Vectis smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. It did not matter. Brave or stupid, the result would be the same. He would crush this little planet and add it to his collection. He would make an example of Earth so that no other world would ever think of resistance. "Prepare the invasion fleet," he commanded. "We attack in 5 days." Far below, on the blue and green planet, Admiral Hana watched the alien ships begin to move. She felt no fear. She had spent her entire life preparing for this moment. The Velroth had made their choice. Now humanity would make theirs. The war for Earth was about to begin. The Velroth invasion began exactly when High Lord Vectis said it would. 2,000 ships moved through space like a dark cloud, blocking out the stars as they approached Earth. On every vessel, alien soldiers prepared for conquest. They had done this many times before. They expected this to be easy. Lieutenant Unbi stood on the bridge of the defense station orbiting Mars. She was young, only 28 years old, but she had been chosen for this mission because she was smart and brave. Her job was simple but dangerous. She had to make the Velroth believe that Earth's defenses were weak and failing. "They are entering sensor range," her communications officer reported. 2,312 vessels confirmed. Unbi nodded. The number was even larger than they had expected, but that did not change the plan. "Send the alert to Earth Command," she ordered, "and prepare our ships for launch." Around Mars, 12 small defense ships powered up their engines. These were old vessels, built with technology that humans had shown to the galaxy. They were slow, poorly armed, and had weak shields. The Velroth had seen ships like these before. They knew humans could build them. What the Velroth did not know was that these ships were empty. No crews sat in their control rooms. No soldiers waited in their hallways. They were controlled remotely, flying through space like puppets on strings. "Launch the defense fleet," Unbi commanded. The 12 ships flew toward the approaching enemy. On the Velroth command ship, officers watched them come with amusement. "Is this their defense?" One officer laughed. 12 ships against our entire fleet?" High Lord Vectis watched from his throne with cold eyes. He did not laugh. Something about this felt wrong. No species was this stupid. No world sent 12 ships against thousands. "Destroy them," he ordered. "But stay alert. The humans may have tricks." The Velroth opened fire. Green energy beams cut through space, hitting the human ships. Shields flickered and failed. Metal melted and broke apart. In less than 3 minutes, all 12 ships were destroyed. Cheers filled the Velrath fleet. Soldiers celebrated their easy victory. Officers congratulated each other on a battle well won. Only Vectis remained silent. He stared at the floating wreckage. His 4 hands clasped together in thought. "Scan the debris," he ordered. "I want to know everything about those ships." Minutes later, a science officer approached his throne with a confused expression. "My lord, the ships. They were empty. There were no bodies, no life signs at any point during the battle." Vectis felt a chill run through his body. Empty ships. A decoy. But a decoy for what? "Continue to Earth," he commanded. "Double our scanner range. I want to know about every rock, every satellite, everything between here and that planet." The fleet moved forward, but now they moved with caution. Vectis had not become High Lord by being careless. He had conquered 47 worlds by being smart and patient. If the humans wanted to play games, he would play along, but he would win. Back on the Mars station, Unbi allowed herself a small smile. Phase 1 was complete. The Velrath had destroyed their decoy ships and used valuable weapons energy doing it. More importantly, they had shown their attack patterns. Human computers had recorded every shot, every movement, every formation. "Send all battle data to command," she ordered. "And prepare for evacuation. They will come for us next." She was right. An hour later, Velrath ships surrounded the Mars station. Yunbi watched them approach on her screen. She had already sent her crew away in escape pods. Only she and a small team remained. "This is High Lord Vectis," a voice came through her speakers. "Surrender your station, and you will be treated well." Unbi picked up her communicator. "This is Lieutenant Unbi of Earth Defense. I have a message for you, High Lord." "Speak. You think you know us. You think you have studied us. But you have only seen what we wanted you to see. You have walked into our home and threatened our families. That was a mistake." Vectis listened to her words with growing anger. "You are in no position to threaten me, human. Your station is surrounded. Your ships are destroyed. You have nothing." "We have something you do not understand," Yunbi replied. "We have hope. And we have a plan." She ended the communication and turned to her team. "Time to go." They ran to the last escape pod as Velrath weapons charged. The station exploded behind them as they flew toward Earth, the blast pushing their small pod faster through space. On his throne ship, Vectis watched the station burn. Another easy victory. But the human's words echoed in his mind. A plan. What plan could these primitive creatures have? "Send scouts ahead," he ordered. "Check every moon, every asteroid. I want no surprises." Scout ships flew in all directions, scanning everything they passed. They found empty space stations, abandoned satellites, and lifeless rocks. Nothing dangerous, nothing to fear. One scout ship passed close to a large asteroid near Jupiter. Its sensors detected metal inside the rock, but the readings were strange. The computer classified it as mineral deposits. Inside that asteroid, Captain Do-Yoon held his breath. His ship, the Silent Thunder, was powered down to minimum levels. 100 crew members sat in darkness, waiting. Around them, hidden in other asteroids and moons, 346 other ships did the same. The scout ship moved away. Do-Yoon released his breath slowly. "That was close," his first officer whispered. "Stay quiet," Do-Yoon replied. "Our time will come." The Velrath fleet continued toward Earth. They passed Jupiter, then Mars, moving closer to the blue planet that had dared to defy them. On Earth, billions of people watched the sky. They had seen the battle at Mars. They had seen their stations destroyed. Many thought all hope was lost. They held their families and prepared for the end. But in the underground command center, Admiral Hana watched different screens. She saw the positions of every Velrath ship. She saw the hidden fleet waiting in the darkness, and she saw the traps slowly closing. The enemy fleet will reach Earth orbit in 18 hours, Director Baum reported. And our fleet? Hana asked. In position. All 347 ships are ready. They are waiting for your signal. Hana looked at the map showing the Velrath fleet. They were spread out now, confident in their victory. Their formation was loose, their guards down. They had no idea that death was hiding all around them. We wait, Hana decided. Let them come closer. Let them think they have won. When they are most confident, when they are celebrating their victory, that is when we strike. Commander Taehyun stood beside her, watching the same screens. The crews are getting restless. They want to fight. They will fight, Hana promised. Soon, very soon. In space, the Velroth fleet entered the final stage of their approach. Earth grew larger in their view screens, a beautiful ball of blue and green and white, so many resources, so many slaves. High Lord Vectis imagined his victory celebration. He did not imagine the ships hiding in the darkness behind him. He did not imagine the weapons pointing at his fleet. He did not imagine the humans watching his every move, counting down the hours until they would unleash their fury. The hunters were coming, but they did not know that they were also the hunted. Earth waited, the hidden fleet waited, and humanity held its breath, ready to show the galaxy what happened when you underestimated the children of a small blue world. The Velrath fleet reached Earth orbit at exactly midnight, Greenwich time. 2,000 ships formed a massive ring around the planet. Their weapons pointed at the surface below. On every continent, people looked up at the sky and saw the alien vessels blocking out the stars. High Lord Vectis stood before his viewing window, watching the planet turn slowly beneath him. The blue oceans, the green forests, the white clouds. It was a beautiful world. It would make a fine addition to his collection. Open a channel to the planet, he commanded. I wish to speak to their leaders. His communication officer obeyed. Seconds later, Vectis saw Admiral Hana appear on his screen. She looked calm, almost peaceful. This annoyed him. Admiral, Vectis said, your time has run out. Your defenses have failed. Your stations are destroyed. Surrender now, and I will be merciful. Hana smiled. It was a strange smile, the kind of smile someone makes when they know a secret. High Lord Vectis, she replied. I want to thank you. Vectis frowned. Thank me? For what? For bringing your entire fleet to our doorstep, for putting all your ships in one place, for making this so much easier than we expected. Before Vectis could respond, alarms began screaming throughout his ship. Officers shouted in confusion. Screens flashed red with warning messages. What is happening? Vectis demanded. My lord, an officer cried out. Ships, hundreds of ships appearing behind us. They came from nowhere. Vectis spun around to look at his tactical display. His blood turned cold. Where there had been empty space moments ago, now there were hundreds of vessels. Human vessels. They had emerged from hyperspace directly behind his fleet, cutting off any retreat. Impossible, he whispered. They cannot have this technology. They cannot have these ships. But they did. 347 warships now surrounded the Velrath fleet. They were smaller than Velrath vessels. But their weapons were already charging. Their shields were already active. And they were already firing. The first shots hit the Velroth communication ships. These were the vessels that connected the fleet, allowing all ships to talk to each other. Captain Do Yun had identified them as the primary targets weeks ago. Take out their eyes and ears first, he had told his crew. A fleet that cannot communicate is not a fleet. It is just a collection of confused ships. The communication ships exploded one after another. Suddenly, the Velrath fleet was blind. Captains could not talk to each other. Officers could not receive orders from Vectis. Each ship was alone. On the command ship, Vectis screamed orders that no one could hear. He watched his fleet fall into chaos as human ships tore through their formations. Return fire, he commanded. All ships, return fire. But his words went nowhere. His communication systems were destroyed. His fleet was scattered, and the humans were everywhere. Commander Taehyun led the main attack force. His ship, the Dawnhammer, cut through space at speeds the Velrath had never seen humans achieve. Plasma cannons fired in rapid bursts, punching holes through enemy shields. "Target their weapon systems," Taehyun ordered. "Disable. Do not destroy if possible. We want prisoners, not corpses." His weapons officer looked surprised. "Sir? They came to enslave us. And you want to show mercy?" "We are not like them," Taehyun replied. "That is why we will win." The battle spread across Earth orbit. Velrath ships tried to form defensive groups, but without communication, they kept getting in each other's way. Some ships accidentally fired on their own allies. Others fled in random directions, only to fly straight into human ambushes. Lieutenant Yunbi had recovered from her escape and now commanded a fast attack squadron. Her ships were the smallest in the human fleet, but they were also the quickest. They flew circles around the confused Velrath vessels, firing at engines and weapon ports. "Focus on the big ones," she told her squadron. "The little ships will surrender when they see their battleships fall." She was right. As the largest Velrath vessels began to burn and drift, the smaller ships started powering down their weapons. White lights appeared on their hulls, the universal signal of surrender, but the command ships still fought. Vectis had managed to restore partial communication with a few nearby vessels. Together, they formed a tight defensive group and pushed toward the edge of the battle. "He is trying to escape," Admiral Hanna observed from her command center on Earth. "Should we stop him?" Director Baum asked. Hanna thought for a moment. Part of her wanted to let Vectis go. Let him return to his empire and tell others what happened here. Let fear spread through the galaxy. But no. If Vectis escaped, he would return with more ships. He would come back for revenge. This had to end here. "All ships," Hanna commanded. "The enemy command vessel is trying to flee. Stop them. But I want Vectis alive." Taehyun received the order and smiled grimly. "You heard the Admiral. Let us finish this." 20 human ships surrounded Vectis and his small group. They fired carefully, targeting engines and weapons, avoiding the main hull where the High Lord sat. Inside his command ship, Vectis watched his escorts fall one by one. His shields were failing. His weapons were destroyed. He had no engines, no communication, no way to fight or run. For the first time in his long life, High Lord Vectis, conqueror of 47 worlds, knew what it felt like to lose. "My lord," his remaining officer said quietly. "What do we do?" Vectis looked at the human ships surrounding him. He looked at the burning wreckage of his fleet. He looked at the planet below, still blue and green and white, untouched by his weapons. He had underestimated these creatures. He had thought they were primitive and weak. He had thought they would bow like all the others. He had been wrong. "Power down all systems," Vectis commanded. His voice was heavy with defeat. "Signal our surrender." The white lights appeared on his hull. The battle was over. Across the human fleet, cheers erupted. Soldiers hugged each other. Officers wiped tears from their eyes. They had done it. They had faced the conquerors of 47 worlds and won. On Earth, the celebrations were even greater. People poured into the streets, laughing and crying and shouting with joy. They had watched their sky fill with enemy ships, and they had watched those ships burn and surrender. But in the underground command center, Admiral Hanna did not celebrate. She stood quietly, watching the screens as human ships moved through the wreckage, collecting survivors and prisoners. "We won," Director Baum said, standing beside her. "We actually won. We actually won. We won the battle," Hanna replied. "But the war is just beginning. The Velrath have 12 star systems. They will send more ships. They will not forget what happened here. Then what do we do?" Hanna turned to look at her young colleague. "We do what humans have always done. We adapt, we prepare. And we show the galaxy that we are not prey. We are not slaves. We are something they have never seen before." She looked back at the screens, at the captured Velrath ships. at the planet she had sworn to protect. We are humanity, and we are just getting started. Far above Earth, Captain Do-yun guided his ship through the battlefield. He looked at the defeated enemy, at the celebrating human ships, at the beautiful planet below. They had taken on an empire and won. But he knew, as Hana knew, that this was only the first chapter. The galaxy was vast, and it was full of creatures who wanted what Earth had. Let them come, Do-yun thought. We will be ready. The trap had sprung. The hunters had become the hunted. And humanity had announced its presence to the stars in the loudest way possible. Nothing would ever be the same again. 3 days had passed since the battle. The space around Earth was still filled with wreckage. Broken ships floated in orbit, their metal twisted and burned. Human rescue teams worked without rest, pulling survivors from damaged vessels and collecting the bodies of the fallen. High Lord Vectis sat in a small room on Earth. It was not a prison cell, but it was not freedom either. Guards stood outside his door. Cameras watched his every move. He had been treated well, given food and water and medical care. This confused him. On his world, prisoners were not treated with kindness. They were beaten and starved, and forced to work until they died. That was how it had always been. That was how conquest worked, but these humans were different. Admiral Hana entered his room and sat across from him. She looked tired. Dark circles under her eyes showed she had not slept in days. But her back was straight, and her gaze was steady. "High Lord Vectis," she said. "I have questions." Vectis stared at her with his dark eyes. "And if I do not answer, then you do not answer. We will not hurt you. We will not torture you. That is not our way." Again, the confusion. Vectis had been prepared for pain. He had been ready to resist interrogation. He had not been ready for this calm woman asking polite questions. "What do you want to know?" he finally asked. "Your empire. The Velrath sovereignty. How will they respond to what happened here?" Vectis laughed. It was a bitter sound. "They will send more ships. Many more. Supreme Commander Korvax will not accept this defeat. He will gather every vessel in our territory and come for your world." "How many ships?" 10,000, 20,000. Enough to block out your sun." Hana nodded slowly. She had expected this answer. "How long do we have?" "Wud." Vectis considered lying. But what was the point? These humans had beaten his fleet. They deserved the truth. Korvax will need time to gather his forces. 2 months. Perhaps 3. Then he will come. And he will not make the same mistakes I made. "Thank you," Hana said. She stood to leave. "Why?" Vectis asked suddenly. "Why do you treat me like this? I came to conquer your world. I came to enslave your people. Why do you show me kindness?" Hana paused at the door. She turned back to look at the alien who had threatened everything she loved. "Because that is what makes us strong," she said. "Not our weapons or our ships. Our ability to choose mercy when we could choose cruelty. Our ability to see an enemy and still treat them with dignity. That is humanity. High Lord. That is what you failed to understand." She left. Vectis sat alone in the quiet room, thinking about her words. Meanwhile, in the space around Jupiter, something was happening. Engineer Jisoo stood on the bridge of a large construction vessel, watching teams of workers install massive devices on nearby asteroids. "How many are complete?" she asked. 47 gravity wells are operational," her assistant reported. 30 more will be ready within the week." Jisoo nodded with satisfaction. The gravity wells were her design. They created artificial gravity fields so powerful that no ship could pass through them. When activated, they would form a wall around the inner solar system, trapping any enemy fleet that tried to enter. "Good," she said. "We need them all ready before the Velrath return." In orbit around Earth, Commander Tae-hyun supervised the repair of his fleet. The battle had damaged many ships, but human engineers worked fast. Every day, more vessels returned to fighting condition. Tae-hyun also oversaw a new project, Some of the captured Velrath ships were being studied and rebuilt. Human technicians crawled through their systems, learning their secrets, adapting their technology. Their shields are interesting, one engineer reported. They use a different energy pattern than ours. If we can combine both systems, then we would have double protection, Taehyun finished. Make it happen. The weeks passed quickly. Earth transformed into a fortress. New ships were built in secret factories on the moon. Weapons platforms were placed in strategic locations throughout the solar system. Every human who could fight was trained. Every resource was directed toward defense. And then the scouts detected them. Contact. The warning came through every military channel. Enemy fleet detected at the edge of the solar system. Estimated count: 18,000 vessels. Admiral Hana received the news in her command center. 18,000. 3 times what she had expected. Korvax was not taking any chances. All stations to battle alert, she commanded. Activate the gravity wells. Prepare the fleet. Across the solar system, humanity's defenses came alive. The gravity wells powered up, creating invisible walls of force between the planets. Ships launched from hidden bases, forming defensive lines. Soldiers checked their weapons and said goodbye to their families. On the edge of the solar system, Supreme Commander Korvax watched Earth through his long-range sensors. His fleet surrounded him, a sea of warships stretching across space. Each ship was larger and more powerful than the ones Vectis had brought. Begin the approach, Korvax ordered. His voice was calm but filled with hatred. Vectis had been his cousin. The defeat had brought shame to his family. He would wash that shame away with human blood. The Velrath fleet moved forward, confident in their numbers. They passed the outer planets without resistance. They moved through the asteroid belt, finding nothing to stop them. Then they reached Jupiter. Commander, a sensor officer reported. Strange readings ahead. Some kind of energy field. Korvax frowned. What kind of energy field? Unknown. It appears to be gravity-based, very powerful. Can we go through it? The officer checked his readings. I would not recommend it, sir. The gravity forces would tear our ships apart. Korvax stared at the invisible wall, blocking his path. These humans were clever, but every wall had a hole. Find a way around, he commanded. There must be a gap somewhere. His ships spread out, searching for a weakness in the gravity well network. They found nothing. The humans had created a perfect barrier, surrounding the inner solar system completely. We could go over or under it, one officer suggested. That would take weeks, another replied, and we would be exposed during the entire journey. Korvax felt his anger growing. He had brought 18,000 ships, and he was stopped by an invisible fence. This was not how conquest worked. This was not how things were supposed to go. Fine, he growled. We wait. We study their barrier. We find a weakness. And when we do, we will crush them. But as the days passed, no weakness appeared. The gravity wells held firm. Human ships patrolled the barrier, watching the Velrath fleet with calm confidence. Engineer Jisoo watched the enemy from her position near Jupiter. She smiled at the sight of 18,000 ships, stuck helplessly in space. How does it feel? She whispered. To come all this way and find a door you cannot open? On Earth, Admiral Hana received reports of the stalemate. The Velrath could not enter, but they also showed no signs of leaving. It was a waiting game now. Who would break first? They have more resources than we do, Director Baum pointed out. They can wait longer. Perhaps, Hana agreed, but they are far from home. Their supply lines are stretched thin. Every day they wait, they grow weaker. And every day, we grow stronger. She looked at the tactical display showing both fleets. The Velrath numbers were terrifying. But numbers were not everything. We have something they do not have, Hana said quietly. We are fighting for our home, for our children, for our future. They are fighting for pride and conquest. When things get difficult, pride fades, but love for home never does. She stood and straightened her uniform. The war was not over. It might not be over for years, but humanity had shown that they would not be conquered easily. They had shown that they would fight with intelligence and courage. And somewhere out there, stuck behind walls of gravity, the greatest invasion fleet in Velrath history waited helplessly for a battle that might never come. The Velrath had wanted desperate measures. Now they had them, but the desperation was all their own. 6 months had passed since the Velrath fleet arrived at the gravity well barrier. 6 months of waiting, watching, and slowly starving. Supreme Commander Korvax sat on his command bridge, surrounded by officers who looked more like skeletons than soldiers. Their food supplies had run out weeks ago. Their water recyclers were failing. Ships that had once been symbols of power were now floating coffins. "Report," Korvax demanded. His voice was weak, nothing like the thundering command it had once been. "Sir," his first officer replied, "we have lost 2,000 ships to system failures. Another 3,000 have crews too sick to operate. Morale is non-existent." Korvax closed his eyes. This was not how he had imagined his great campaign ending. Not starving in the cold darkness of space. Trapped by a species he had planned to enslave. "What about the barrier?" he asked. "None, sir. Our scientists have tried everything. The gravity wells are perfectly designed. There is no way through." Outside the window, Korvax could see Earth in the distance. So close, yet completely out of reach. That blue and green planet mocked him with its beauty. A communication signal blinked on his console. It was from the humans. "Put it through," Korvax ordered. Admiral Hana appeared on his screen. She looked exactly as she had 6 months ago, healthy and calm. Behind her, Korvax could see officers working at their stations, relaxed and confident. "Supreme Commander Korvax," Hana said, "I think it is time we talked." "What is there to talk about?" Korvax replied bitterly. "You have trapped us. You have won. Are you calling to mock your enemy?" "No, I am calling to offer you a choice." Korvax laughed. It came out as a dry cough. "A choice? What choice does a dying prisoner have?" Hana leaned forward, her eyes meeting his through the screen. "The same choice I offered your cousin Vectis. The choice between destruction and something better." "Vectis is alive?" "He is. He has been living on Earth for 6 months, eating our food, learning our culture, speaking with our people." Hana paused. "He has much to tell you. If you are willing to listen." Korvax felt something stir in his chest. Vectis was alive. The humans had not killed him. They had not tortured him for information. They had treated him as a guest, not a prisoner. "What are you proposing?" Korvax asked carefully. "Lower your weapons. Power down your shields. Allow our ships to approach, and provide aid to your fleet. Food, water, medical supplies, everything your people need to survive. And in return? In return, you go home. You tell your empire what happened here. You tell them that humanity does not want war. We do not want conquest. We want peace." Korvax stared at her for a long moment. "You expect me to believe that? After everything that has happened, you want peace?" "I want my people to be safe," Hana replied. "I want my planet to survive. If peace achieves that, then yes, I want peace. But if you force us to fight, we will fight. And we will win." Again, the silence stretched between them. Around Korvax, his officers watched with desperate hope. They wanted to live. They wanted to see their families again. They did not want to die in this cold, empty space. "If I refuse," Korvax asked, "then we wait. We have food and water for years. We have time. Your fleet does not." It was not a threat. It was simply the truth. And Korvax knew it. He thought about his people. He thought about the Velrath sovereignty, the empire he had served his entire life. He thought about all the worlds they had conquered, all the species they had enslaved, all the suffering they had caused. And he thought about these strange humans, who had beaten him twice and still offered mercy. "Lower the weapons," Korvax commanded. His officers moved quickly, relief flooding their faces. Power down the shields. Signal our surrender. Ha-Na nodded. You have made the right choice. Our ships will arrive within the hour. The screen went dark. Korvax sat alone with his thoughts, as his fleet transformed from an invasion force to refugees accepting aid. True to her word, human ships arrived quickly. They brought food and water and medicine. Human doctors treated sick Velrath soldiers. Human engineers helped repair broken systems. Human soldiers worked side by side with their former enemies, saving lives instead of taking them. Korvax watched it all with wonder. This was not how conquered enemies behaved. This was not how winners treated losers. But perhaps that was the point. Perhaps the humans did not see this as winning or losing at all. 2 weeks later, the Velrath fleet prepared to leave. Their ships were repaired, their crews healthy. But before they departed, Korvax requested one final meeting with Hana. They met in a small room on a space station near the gravity well barrier. It was just the two of them. No guards, no weapons. I do not understand your people, Korvax admitted. We came to destroy you. We came to enslave your children and strip your world of resources. And you help us. You save us. Why? Hana thought about the question carefully. Have you ever heard of a Earth creature called a wolf? Korvax shook his head. Wolves are predators. They hunt in packs, working together to bring down prey much larger than themselves. They are fierce and dangerous, but they also care for their young, protect their weak, and mourn their dead. They are killers, but they are also family. She looked at Korvax with steady eyes. Humans are like wolves. We can be the most dangerous creatures you have ever encountered. We can fight wars that burn across stars. We can destroy fleets and topple empires. But that is not all we are. We are also creatures who love, who hope, who dream of a universe where we do not have to fight. We showed you our teeth when you threatened us. Now we are showing you our other side, the side that believes in second chances, the side that wants allies, not slaves. Korvax was quiet for a long time. When he finally spoke, his voice was soft. My people have ruled through fear for thousands of years. We do not know any other way. Then learn a new way. Hana said simply. You have seen that fear does not work against us. Perhaps it is time to try something else. You are asking us to change everything we are. No. I am asking you to become something more than you are. To grow beyond conquest and fear. To see the universe as something to explore and share, not something to dominate. Korvax looked at this small human woman. She had defeated his cousin. She had trapped his fleet. She had brought the mighty Velrath sovereignty to its knees. And now she was offering him a chance to start again. I will take your message to my emperor, he said. I cannot promise he will listen, but I will try. That is all I ask. Korvax stood and extended his hand in the human gesture of respect. Hana took it. Thank you, Korvax said. For the mercy. For the food. For the chance. Thank you, Hana replied. For listening. For accepting. For choosing hope over pride. The Velrath fleet departed the next day. 18,000 ships that had come for conquest left seeking peace. They passed through the galaxy carrying a story that would spread to every world. The story of a small blue planet that could not be conquered. The story of a species that fought like demons but forgave like angels. On Earth, the celebrations lasted for weeks. Humanity had faced its greatest challenge and emerged stronger than before. But Hana knew the work was just beginning. They had to prepare for the future, build alliances, explore the stars. She stood on the balcony of her home, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of orange and gold. Commander Taehyun joined her, 2 cups of tea in his hands. What are you thinking about? He asked. The future, Hana replied. We are not alone in the universe anymore. Everything is different now. Scared? Hana smiled and took the tea. No. Excited. The galaxy is so big, and we have so much to learn, so much to see, so much to become. Taehyun nodded. The Velrath will not be the last to challenge us. I know, but now the galaxy knows what we are. They know that humanity is not prey. We are not victims. We are a species that turns enemies into friends and defeats into victories. She raised her cup toward the first stars appearing in the darkening sky. To humanity, she said, and to whatever comes next. Taehyun raised his cup as well. To humanity. They drank together as night fell over Earth. Somewhere out there, among the countless stars, the story of humanity was just beginning. They had announced themselves to the galaxy not with conquest, but with compassion, not with destruction, but with mercy. And that, perhaps, was the most terrifying thing of all. The galactic sovereigns had challenged humanity. They had brought their own destruction upon themselves. But in the end, humanity had offered them something no one expected, a new beginning.